welcome. On this video, this is a day 2 update with Pearl. And here what I'm going to be doing on this video is just doing the basic relational changing method. Okay, so as I'm doing this, I used to be walking in a bit of a circle. Yeah, the thing that really what you want to pay attention to as I do these videos is to actually do a comparison between even yesterday, day 1, as Pearl is really engaging in a lot of a little bit of higher challenge to the method. She wasn't trying to bite me, but she was definitely locking down, so to speak, halting, trying to resist because of how her mind is reacting based on the level of control that's been established in the relationship with her owners, and how that's contrasting through the board and train. But again, as what you notice is as she's coming into agreement with the method, she's moving forward, okay, and it's becoming more accepting. At the same time, the stress load is starting to come off of her. This is why even last night she had a really good deep sleep, kind of like almost like a REM sleep, okay, because again, what happens is that stress load comes off the dog. They don't have to engage in thinking that they're have to be in control at a high level, and so they begin to relax. Okay, and this is what the method is all about. So as I'm doing it, again, when I'm dealing with a dog that has a high level of control, what I'm doing here is I'm being very intentional, okay, which means that, how the method comes together, I'm keeping the integrity of that method somewhat. There's some variance here, which means that, I'm being very intentional in terms of aligning it. Okay, so I don't want to trigger aggression if I can help it. But there's certain things that, again, are not negotiable, okay, such as the muzzle. So there's certain things, because again, certain protocols when you're dealing with an aggressive case that you need to make sure that that they're going to accept the muzzle as you're doing the method, because again, you don't want to get bit, okay, and so with here Pearl accepting the muzzle, that's a great indicator. That's one of the benchmarks you can look at, saying, wow, she's not trying to tear that muzzle off. She started to move forward, started to come into agreement with the method. And the other thing, too, to really focus on, what makes the system really special, is understanding what relationship change really means. So, a lot of people will try to, motivate and incentivize a dog to respond or to move forward, okay? But again, you look at this thing about understanding about control, and when you start to do that and work off of that type of learning narrative, when you take that and apply it to the human example that I use often with a very selfish child, and you're just trying to get them to respond and motivate them to then go through that checklist that way to say, okay, that's representative that the relationship is moving forward just based at a response level. It doesn't always line up that way at all, because it has to, the method has to meet the child, or in this case the dog, where they're at in the relationship. Okay, it truly has to engage properly. Okay, you have to deal with these, understand the motives involved, what underpin response, to understand how to move the relationship from point A to point B. Because here's the thing, if I could do that and make people feel really good about the process that way, I would do it. But understanding the depth of what's happening, okay, you have to understand dogs as the social relational animals that they are. And this is why, again, you go in the dog training world, you see so much of how things don't mirror up. How they can look a certain way in the training environment and not be, okay? How things can look really, really good, but you're still dealing with all these behavioral issues, because here's the thing, the relational change has not actually happened. The dog has held control, gone through the motions to say, sure, I'll move for you because I'm getting something out of the deal. But the depth of the problem is such is control itself becomes its own motivating agent when you're building the picture that way. If you fail to recognize the role of influence and how that ties into the method, okay? So it's really, really important to get the process correct, okay? So here, but you're going to see that. So as I go through the board training process, you're going to see videos every day, okay? And here's the thing, and you'll see the motives of the dog tested at all points along the way. You're not getting some sort of a, infomercial glimpse into this, which is really often what you see on social media. You're not seeing a full transparency. You're going to see just little glimpses in with a lot of how this methodology or application of this narrative, how it's applied at a very superficial level. And that's the problem. It's no different than stepping in and seeing a selfish child, just a certain, certain kind of glimpses or snapshots, but you're not seeing the whole relationship. And that's, very important that you see that, to understand why it is that I approach training the way that I approach it. So this is a very unique system, truly one of a kind. This is interaction based, okay? The methodology aligns for a very specific reason. So the great news is, the hope is, that when you're dealing with a dog that seems hopeless, which is many of the cases I work with, absolutely not hopeless at all, okay? Because again, it's understanding the process and how to bring a dog back from the edge so that you're getting them on the road to rehabilitation, true rehabilitation, and not just a false image of nature, okay? So again, I'm going to move forward here with Pearl, and again, what I'm using is for a device is she's on a flat collar right now. I will use the pressure collar sometimes, depending on advocating for the level of control I need if the dog's engaging in a certain level of challenge. But again, it's about understanding being proactive, the role of influence. So you're not here in the system, you're not waiting at a level where you're cranking and yanking on the dog. You're engaging in a proactive level, understanding that the relationship, how to change the relationship in a way that represents investment. So whenever I talk about proactive, about investing in the relationship, no different than, again, the selfish child, the relationship problem, you have to be proactive, you have to invest properly. You're not sitting on the couch yelling and screaming, okay? You're getting up on your feet, you're going in and truly investing in the relationship properly, saying, asking certain questions, engaging certain ways, okay? This is no different, okay? This is about what makes sense to Pearl. Pearl understands, even though Pearl is going to challenge this to a certain level, okay, she's saying, well, this makes sense to me. The other way made sense too, when she gained a whole bunch of control of the relationship. Say, well, okay, if the human isn't going to take a leadership role, I'll take it. Now she's here, she's saying, okay, Dale's doing, is engaging a certain level. It makes sense, there's no confusion. I'm going to release it. Okay, I'm going to release control, and this makes her feel better. Okay, so the whole positive, because here's the thing, there's so much in the dog training world. I talk about this a lot because it's really important. People step in and say, I want to reward the dog. I want to pet on the dog. But here's the thing, when the dog has control, they're engaged in stinking thinking. Okay, very deceptive, because you could stand there and say, well, that looks really good. It looks like she's really submissive. She's calm. Absolutely not. Okay, just like dealing with a selfish child. They can look calm too as long as they're getting their own way and they're in the middle of a crisis, okay? You can't go just how things look, okay? You have to, so the method is what reveals, okay? So the benchmark of understanding through certain interactions, that's what reveals truth of what needs to happen, okay? Then so the integrity of the method has to hold true for a certain period of time, so the process has to take the integrity of the process has to take shape, the right level. Then, through what is revealed through the process, through the method, then, okay, those, you're going to start to see a dog come into agreement with, okay, and then relational change happens, and then that's when the process can start to withdraw, so to speak, start to diminish. And then the picture's great. Everything lines up. Okay, you're going to have meaningful influence through commands, through the spoken language. But here, so I'm not using commands because it's the intent of what you're doing. Okay, if I use commands based on what's already been established, sure, she can respond, and I'm thinking, hey, I got meaningful influence, and you don't at all. Okay, so here it is. It's about understanding the depth of what's happening. Everything has meaning in it. So everything I do has a purpose. Okay, so here I'm going to start moving forward with her. So the goal is for, as I'm doing this, is I'm stopping a lot because I want to, I want to create what I define as follower moments, okay? I want to really make sure it lines up properly. And so these moments are what create change. They're your building blocks of change. So there's an inwardness that happens. And so as you see her, focus start to come on to me, that's the fading in part of this. This methodology fades the person into the relationship. Okay, instead of being faded out, I fade in. Now, she could have a lot of control, be very possessive, or your dog can be very possessive. You can be faded in too, but context, the wrong way. Okay, this is about fading in the right way. Okay? So again, let's start moving forward with her. Now, what you notice, again, comparing the videos, now see I touch her, She jerks a little bit, right? That's normal. I move forward with her here. And what you notice is from within just less than 24 hours, okay, you're going to notice her starting to really come into agreement with this. Right now, just right here, moving a lot better than she did just a few hours ago, okay? I'm going to assert, I'm going to help move her into the position that's, again, interaction-based, okay? And then I'm going to tap a little bit just to nudge her mind. See her head turn into me a little bit here when I'm nudging? This is about advocating who's in control, okay? This is about stinking thinking. So a dog that has a lot of control issues, they begin to over-invest. Okay, their mind will reach out and invest in certain things. So I'm just interrupting that a little bit. Just like communication, like language saying, hey, I own it. You know, I own it, I own it, I own it. So, but it's not about doing it in such a way saying, well, you can't ever meet whatever it is. It's context saying, okay, I own it. We might get to meet Pete the squirrel, whatever it is, but it's defined relationally, okay, through me. Because again, the dog's a social relational animal. Their minds pivot at the pack level, pack relationship that way. Very, very important. So same thing, move forward with her. Still going to touch her. So she might go into a sit position pretty good, okay, but I'm still going to assert some influence to follow up, okay? Help to lead her into it a little bit, a little push-pull method. And then tap the leash a little bit. Again, move forward. Again, I'm not going to let her, she wants to kind of move ahead of me here. I'm not going to let her take control. I have to stop her. So always keep the dog right beside you in what's called the heel position. Okay, but again, this is interaction based, so not so much position focused, I am interacting with her to assert some influence as the position is taking hold, okay? And again, she's got a high level of relational need, okay? She's that dog that, you know, has a higher level of need. So you see from yesterday, the tail's up in the air now. But again, it's all about confidence the right way. Okay, confidence through right relationship. Move forward here again, I want to line this up a little better. So I keep her within, called the staging area, okay? It's like an imaginary box here. I keep leading her into. Manipulating her a little bit. Again, within the parameters of what's reasonable. I can tell right from doing this, there's less tension on her, okay? She's more motivated. Move forward, come to agreement with this. Tapping her a little bit as I move just to keep her beside me. Again, I encourage, go watch the last video on this. You see a tremendous, tremendous difference. Okay, she was totally just locked down, didn't want to move at all. Now, she's more accepting. Don't get me wrong, I know I'm going to have moments with her. Doesn't mean that she's even to go into a high challenge on me, okay? Because again, just understand, this is totally different than what she's used to having happen, and this challenge is, you know, her issues of control, you know, head on, okay, in a good way. So I just take my time, again, understanding there's even moments I'll stop, just stay here just a little bit longer, because I am giving her a little recovery time each time, okay? I'm not trying to, you know, if I go too quickly, assert too much, that will, you know, again, that could represent too much challenge for her. So I'm just trying to be intentional with what I know that, you know, staying within a certain range here, just letting her kind of, you know, come into agreement with it, okay? Making sense. So it's just like, you know, meeting her where she's at in the relationship here, okay? This is like, you know, this is love, okay? This is doing it with good motives here, okay? I want her to succeed. I don't want her to fail. Okay. Now here she's starting to lock in a little bit. Okay, so this is the moment here. She's going to lock in. I'm going to lock in too, just like that technique I mentioned about a tug of war team. And now, see, she's buckling quicker now. Okay, she's locking down, but she's seeing that moment she come out of it much quicker. So I'll bring her forward here. Lock this up. Good. So anyway, that's a little glimpse into, again, we're on just day 2. You can see here much tremendous difference, 100% different if you go back and do a comparison of the last couple videos, especially the first video. You'll see her totally just locked down. But this shows you how quickly, okay, that she's going to come forward. And not because there's some false image of nature happening here, okay. This is about getting the process correct, okay. But you see just how quickly she's willing, because she's saying this makes sense. You know, Dale's meeting me where I'm at. Okay, so again, big giant difference. Doesn't mean we won't have some moments here. Okay, just like any sort of process, but this process is totally different though. Okay, so this isn't about, you know, again, you know, approaching training is something it's not. Okay, this is about approaching the process correctly. So anyway, tremendous difference. Basically, go back and watch the video, watch this video, watch the next video. Every time you see this, okay, you're going to see a difference, okay, as we move forward. And then, again, once there's a sequence I follow here. So once, you know, within the training environment, dealing with an aggressive dog, you know, once I get somewhat of a foundation where a level of relational change or acceptance has happened, then that's when I start to hit the street. I start to incorporate other dogs, other people. Okay, so I want to make sure I get a good, you know, some relational change happening directly between me and her first. Okay, and understanding, and agreement. Then through that, then everything will begin to branch on.